You decide. Midterm elections getting closer by the hour. We're having casual, informal discussions with candidates here on Fox 25. And tonight is Congressional District 3 from Worcester down into Somerset. Gentlemen, for each of you, what's your biggest gripe about your opponents? Let's begin with Republican Marty Lamb. Mr. Lamb, you nearly canceled tonight because you found out we invited the independent candidate.
Well,
Pat Barron.
we were a little disappointed in what the rules were. We were told this was a one-on-one debate. I am here. I am disappointed the rules were changed on us the last minute. But, of course, we are here. We're engaging with both candidates, and I'm happy to be here tonight. Thank you. As far as my biggest gripe against my opponent is, he votes to the left at both Nancy Pelosi and Barney Frank. He's a liberal. He believes in taxing and spending. Solution to every single problem has been to tax and spend. Citizens Against Government Waste has given him a 7% rating. Barney Frank has a 13% rating on that. Americans for Tax Reform, a 0 rating. Nancy Pelosi's at a 5.
And now you're talking about Congressman McGovern at this point.
Right. You said, what's my biggest gripe against my opponent? And
opponents, plural.
Yes, okay, opponents. Right now, I'm looking to win the seat right now. I'm running as a conservative against a liberal, and that's where I'm approaching this from.
Point of fact, we extended invitations to all three candidates. All three accepted. We wanted to give all three of you a platform and have the voters decide. Let's move on to Patrick Barron. Mr. Barron, what are your comments about your opponents?
Well, I'm surprised to hear that Marty didn't want me in the debate, but that's not really actually that surprising. The Republicans are obviously going to try and keep me off the debates, so I appreciate you inviting me to be here. My concern with both parties is that Washington's broken, and although both candidates have had good ideas and good solutions, they're not going to be implemented until they recognize how dysfunctional Washington is. Neither candidate is committed to reforming Washington. I submitted a public trust pledge to both candidates last week that neither one will sign, trying to eliminate voluntarily special interest money, which just shows that they're not committed personally to changing anything.
Congressman Jim McGovern?
Well, first of all, I'm glad that Mr. Barron accepted the invitation, and I'm glad Fox 25 invited him. All of us worked hard to get here, and I think all of us should be heard, and the voters should make the decision. Look, I don't have any gripes with my opponents. I admire anybody who puts their name on the ballot and decides to run for office, and I think the people of the 3rd District will get a good sense of where we all stand, but my focus is on jobs. I think what we need to, concentrate on is how to create more jobs in the 3rd Congressional District and throughout this country. We need to put people back to work. That's what I've been doing ever since I got elected to Congress, and that's what I want to commit to doing if I get reelected.
Congressman McGovern, you've been in office now for 13 years, 7 terms. A big supporter of victims' rights, human rights, even been arrested a couple of times demonstrating against the atrocities in Darfur. Do your constituents, though, know enough about what you do, in your opinion?
I think they do. I think my constituents care about what happens around the world. I think it's insulting to suggest that they don't. The fact of the matter is that the issue of Darfur was first brought to me by high school students in my congressional district. High school students and college students all across my district have campaigned and stood up against the genocide in Darfur. And the arrest, when I got arrested, I was with John Lewis, a congressman from Georgia, who was a civil rights leader, who got his head smashed in at the Edmund Pettus Bridge, crossing it with Martin Luther King, and the late Congressman Tom Lantos, the only Holocaust survivor in the United States Congress. But we were standing up against genocide, which I think most of my constituents appreciate the fact that we took that stand.
Marty Lamb, you've been creative in getting your message out. I'll say that. Barf bags for people who are sick of government, and if elected, you plan to use the lamb chop to cut government spending. Humorous. They get your attention. Are you afraid, though, that something might not take you seriously?
Well, if you look at the barf bag in particular, and I did bring one with me, what this is a message to the voters that we can do more for less. These actually cost less than the typical push cards used by most politicians. And what it says is, if you are sick of Congress, there is a positive alternative. Vote for me for Congress, and it goes on to the key points, and it references my webpage, martyforcongress.com, that has step-by-step solutions to create jobs in the economy, to cut government spending and government waste, to cut government abuse in Washington, to bring the positive changes and create jobs that we need in our district. And that's the biggest issue right here, is jobs and economy. Right now, 14% unemployment in Fall River. Worcester is slightly behind that, and people are scared. We need to get the attention to the issues, and that's what I'm working on, so that we can bring those positive changes out.
Patrick Barron, you've got 4 followers on Twitter. Congressman McGovern, over 500. Marty Lamb, close to 1,000. How do you spread your word, though, Mr. Barron, about your campaign, how do you get the word out?
Well, I think by having opportunities like this are good opportunities. I also think my ideas are good ideas. I think people are tired of both parties. They recognize the dysfunction in Washington as part of the problem. Jim McGovern has had 14 years to explain his record to people, and people realize that basically at every opportunity he will vote to increase taxes, increase the scope of government. At every opportunity. He's had 14 years to explain that, and people know that. They also know that the Republicans have done nothing to stop this process. So I think they're looking for an independent voice that will go in and try and make a difference.
Let's talk about the economy. We've got just a little bit of time left here. Congressman McGovern, what have you done to help the economy along and put more people back to work during this recent recession?
Yeah, well, throughout my district, you can see where I've worked collaboratively with small businesses and large businesses and colleges and universities to create jobs, whether it's the Gateway Park project in Worcester, which is employing people doing biotechnology and bioengineering and medical devices. I helped keep Cooks and Precious Metals, a jewelry manufacturing company, in Attleboro and helped bring hundreds of jobs into that city. Liberating Technologies in Holliston, which we helped expand their employee base, and they're working on prosthetics for our soldiers who have lost. But look, I have a record of creating jobs. I have a concrete record that I'm proud of, and I want to continue that. Even during these difficult economic times, we have created jobs.
Mr. Lamb, you talked about your backyard, Holliston. What would you do in the economy?
Well, first of all, I just want to mention that the congressman's record as far as job creation, that the Chamber of Commerce rates him at 65% votes against small business and business creation and job creation. Those are the statistics out there. And I question the ability to create jobs. Right now, within the past 2 years, we have less jobs in our economy, in our district, than we did at the beginning of the Obama administration. And by spending money, raising deficits across the board, we're losing jobs in the district. I'm a small business owner.
I want to get Patrick Barron in here. Final word, please.
Well, I think in reality, Jim McGovern hasn't brought jobs. He's brought other people's money to fund jobs, and that's part of the problem. I think we should be cutting taxes. I think we should not let the Bush tax cuts expire. I think we should freeze the federal income tax for a minimum of a year. I think we should cut capital gains tax on American-owned, American-staffed companies by 50%. And I think those things would generate some real jobs.
Should be interesting to see how you gentlemen fare. Come November 2nd. I'm sorry we're out of time.
I want to make the middle-class tax cuts permanent.
All right, very good. We're going to rest it there. Patrick Barron, Marty Lamb, Congressman Jim McGovern, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having us.
Good luck November 2nd.
Thank you.